Hi guys, I have a really awesome update for you that I think you're going to love. Thank you for sharing that document of your neighbor's approved plans showing how far forward their house is going to be built. Based on that, I was able to show a reduced little over 31 and a half feet for the front setback, which the second floor front bedroom goes right up to and kisses that line. So we're taking full advantage of that. I'm also now taking advantage of the concept of calling the office suite a junior ADU, which allows an additional 500 square feet to be added. It can be attached, and you can have a junior ADU attached and still build basement area underneath it, and still have a detached ADU of less than 800 square feet. So the one catch, if there is any catch, of doing a junior ADU for this proposed office zone is that we have to include a small kitchenette with a refrigerator, a sink, and a cooking appliance, as well as some food storage. But I've got a really exciting plan for you, and I think you're going to love how this added square footage is going to help balance out the basement bedrooms as well. Another key point is that the garage is still set at the 100-foot mark for your 200-foot deep lot. So that's right at the halfway mark. I am showing a 28-foot deep auto court with the turntable still. And I think that about covers it. So, I know we were striving for a 50-foot deep rear yard. I've got just over 48 feet here. I think you're going to overall be really satisfied with the layout of the plan. And the tables are, of course, on the PDF that you'll see, but the house is a lot larger now due to this added 500 square feet, which doesn't count towards the 4,050 square feet you're allowed to have for the main home. So the main home garage and the second floor are maxed out at the 4,050. This added 500 square foot junior ADU, and then about a 3,700 square foot basement that fills out under the entire ground floor, including the attached garage and the attached junior ADU, yields a very, very large development, which I hope you're going to be very excited about. Let's zoom in on the ground floor plan revised. And again, as you can see, the office space I'm now calling out as a junior ADU. So we've got a junior ADU studio office space with a kitchenette, cooktop, sink, and refrigerator with a walk-in closet. And then the junior ADU bathroom is quite amply sized with a linen closet. And so it's very faint. It's hard to see right now on this video, but if you zoom in on the PDF, you'll see a different crosshatch that's really more apparent on the site plan, showing the delineated 500 square feet. So for example, this coat closet, which opens out into the main home, is not part of the 500 square feet of the junior ADU and is counting towards the main home. Still, though, the floor plan is very similar to what we saw in the previous iteration, where we enter into the living room. There's a large auto court that's lined with windows. The stair has been tightened up per your request, so now we're doing just 10-inch treads, but that does yield a much wider hallway. I know previously I was showing sort of a more bold approach of having the retaining walls for the basement stick out beyond the footprint of the ground floor. But in reviewing my previous projects, I don't see any record of that having gotten approved before. So I do think it is appropriate to show the retaining walls only underneath the footprint of the main home. And because of that, the hallway down in the basement is the one that's going to lead. So that has been set to the 4-foot minimum when we come down the bottom of the stairs. But because we don't have to worry about the retaining wall or the 1-inch air gap behind the furring wall, we can have a much more amply sized 5-foot hallway for both the ground floor and for the second floor, which opens into the elevator column here, opens into the dining room here, lined with that storage wall still, and the laundry chute, We have a powder room right here. The kitchen is a lot larger. There's a very large nook. Perhaps this is starting to feel a little oversized. I could see it making a case for perhaps enlarging the kitchen island a bit more than the 12 foot. Um, that would of course mean we'd have to incorporate some seams in the top, but there's probably some workarounds for that. The great room is very amply sized, and the proportions that the nook sticks out beyond the family room, of course, is benefiting the basement by allowing us to enlarge the basement by closing in the L. But a lot of what we're seeing here is very familiar, or should look very familiar based on the sketches that we've seen before. I really like the idea of tucking the heat pumps in over on here, although I don't know if it's necessary really to do the heat pumps over that metal grating, as you were saying. If we did want to do that, this would start to count as a below grade patio rather than just a light well with an adjacent staircase. If we did that, that would mean I'd have to reduce this below grade patio somewhat, just due to the 2% uh, limit of the lawn area. And that's okay. But again, I just don't know if it's really necessary. But I think that just about covers it for the ground floor. Let's move up to the second floor now. So the second floor layout should look very similar again as well, but it is drastically improved. All of the bedrooms are feeling much more amply sized. The balcony is for the master suite is sitting flush with the back wall of the great room, so it's no longer protruding out beyond. I do think I will probably want to enclose this, have the roof uh, close off this way, but we've got room underneath the lot coverage max uh, allotment for that. I just don't think I want to see this vertical wall, but that depends. I want to study this in 3D before we decide. But still, the balcony's full width with the primary suite, which is a much better proportion. Um, the primary bathroom and these dual walk-in closets are now entered off of this short hallway at the top of the extra 4 steps to get the great room below to have a 12-foot ceiling height. But, as we talked about, these 2 bedroom suites here that are perfectly centered between the side lot lines are not going to have to worry about the daylight plane at all. But because we've come up the 2 extra feet with these 4 steps here, or even more if we went with 7.5-inch steps, of course, um, that really does start to impact the height for these walk-in closets, and it actually gets a little kind of funky. Um, the city of Palo Alto will allow for you to have 2 daylight plane protrusions. They can only be 7.5 feet wide, which is incredibly narrow. And there has to be at least a 5-foot gap between those 2 daylight plane protrusions. So, I feel like this is gonna look maybe a little silly. I'm gonna have to play around with what this is gonna do, and I'm not entirely sold on the exact layout here. But I think in 3D, I'll be able to make it work. But what this does is by putting these walk-in closets um, into the daylight plane on the side of the second floor, it of course allowed the balcony in the primary suite to scoot back away from the pool, away from protruding out beyond the um, the great room below. But I think with the 2 walk-in closets, I do think there's some potential promise for the amount of storage capacity that each of these closets have. And I'm showing a sink in one. I think maybe this would be a more ideal location for that coffee station I've been talking about. Let's get it out of the bedroom now that this is just a nice, clean rectangle. And I think your primary bathroom layout works really well with the long sink tub here, shower in the corner with the glass wall that continues as a frosted glass wall enclosure for the toilet, and then a little makeup vanity right here. I think that works really well. The loft is now a lot bigger than I was shown before. I think I'd be quite happy with the size now. And both bedrooms, I had to give both the en suites. Now that we had that additional square footage due to the 500 square foot junior ADU bonus, um, when all the things got stretched and divvied up, when I tried going with that just single bathroom layout, the two bedrooms were around 220 square feet each. Versus now, I think they're just a bit over 180, and each has its own bathroom. I know you weren't keen on the idea of putting a closet here, but I do think it's the best spot for it, all things considered. Just it gives the room a much more squarer proportion and allows for this to be the bed wall and allows the room to be over 12 feet in this dimension. Whereas if I did put the wall closet here, which is intriguing, I think the dimension of the room gets down to just a hair over 10 feet and it starts to feel a little too narrow. And I know this is the corner I want for windows. I think I could do high windows above this partial height closet perhaps. But I do think this is the right layout here, but I'm keen to hear your thoughts. So let's now go down the stairs down to the basement. So the basement is much improved. We come down the stairs and there's not a long path you have to take before you're greeted with this really bright frosted glass wall for the gym that is getting a lot of light coming into it through these windows. Um, and this glass turns the corner and you can see the bar. And there's a temptation I have to make this all transparent just because you can see it. And why shouldn't it be transparent? You know, it could be relatively clean if it's just two pieces of equipment and a rack of weights and a yoga mat on the ground. That doesn't have to be too messy. Um, or maybe at the very least, we leave the upper section and the lower section clear and frost just a middle band for privacy. But that might allow light and views to the bar area to happen a little bit um, sooner than if we would otherwise just keep this completely opaque. But the reason why I like it frosted is for that sense of privacy in the gym, and also just for that glass to really glow as an element. That opaque, frosted, milky glass, I think, could just be really, really bright jewel to pull you through just a little bit further till the gym opens up finally. So it's your call, of course, but I would go full frosted. The laundry room leads to the utility room. The laundry room is still directly under the laundry chute. So, but it would have to take a little bit of an angle. But given the fact that this comes down 12 feet lower than a 12 foot, and we have a 12-foot clear ceiling here, there's plenty of room to incorporate a little angle between where the stack makes sense in the master suite and the primary bathroom upstairs and the ground floor and down here. So I think this is going to work out just fine. The media room with the snack bar and the couches were shown. Oh, I did incorporate the telerack right here. So perhaps, just one more bit of interesting things to pull you down the hall past the media room. So I've got a lot of glass happening here with the wine room right here too. I've pulled the wine room. I switched things. I still think the layout with the pool table and the dining table and the wine next to the bar makes sense. And I liked the idea of this glass and this glass um, sort of act. It's almost like they're bookends. They're not quite perfect, right? They're not stacked, but it's maybe an implied bookend where if you're here and you look this way, you're seeing two bits of glass treatment. And by pulling it off the wall, we allow a cleaner elevation of glass here at this really wonderful southern light well that's going to flood the pool table or the rec area and the dining table area here. Great connection with this furniture seating group with this walkout below grade patio that's terraced. We would come down the stairs here. This is a completely open area, And we've got just this nice open area at the bottom of the stairs. Yes, it's just a 4 foot wide hallway here. Uh, but because it's so open this way and we've got at least a source of light coming in this way and a source of light coming in this way, I do feel like it's going to be something that's special enough. And perhaps there could be some activity here or some bit of furniture in this area just to make coming down the stairs a little bit more interesting, especially for the long-term guests who get to stay in a really large room. I'm seeing a glitch right here. It looks like I was exploring giving this room a bit more than a 10.5 foot dimension. Um, so I do need to clean things up a bit. So I'll send you a cleaner PDF, but still the premise is almost exactly per the layout that you had shared with me, but just improved upon a little bit, I think. The sauna is right here. This bathroom, which will serve the downstairs area and the gym, does have access to the light well. This light well serves this bedroom, which has its own bathroom and a walk in closet. This bathroom is a bit landlocked, but perhaps we could do some treatment with translucent glass in this wall, perhaps up high, to bring in some borrowed light into the bathroom. This bedroom suite as well is really quite ample. There's a little vestibule area here, perhaps a little private office area right here, or it could be a makeup station, depending on the couple that's staying overnight. That leads to another great bathroom. And I appreciate the idea of wanting to make the pass in for the cars a lot easier. So I agree pulling the light well in makes sense, but because the shower's right here, I couldn't help myself. I want at least an 18-inch overlap with the light well to put a full height, narrow, frosted bit of glass right here just to bring in some natural light. If you're really opposed to this, if you're really concerned about that, of course we can tighten it up a little bit more, but I do think it's nice to have this and nice to have a little more space here for the turn. So I hope you like this compromise. Really, really big closets, but I think the rooms are the right size. Of course, this room could get a little bit deeper, but it's getting really far away from that light well. Another layout would be to make this the bed wall. The bed wall would fit here. The bed would fit here, of course. That might be a nicer way to enjoy the bed uh, closer to this light well, and then have this just be the secondary seating zone. Although that's still like so far away from the light source. So, guys, I'm really excited about these changes that we've made. I hope you are too. I can't wait to hear your feedback on this design. If you don't have any major comments on the layout of the design, I'll get started on the 3D modeling. Thank you so much.